Hello and welcome to On Purpose Astrology. First of all, thank you so much to all the new subscribers and all the lovely comments you made on my video about the North Node in Pisces. I'm keeping the focus on Pisces very much for this short video. I think it's worth really doing a whole video just focusing on the next couple of weeks or so, where Venus in Pisces, which is currently in Pisces, Venus is making some really interesting connections to other planets. First of all, Venus in Pisces. What is Venus in Pisces all about? Just to set the context. Well, as we know, Venus is the relationship planet. In traditional astrology, it's one of the benefic planets, which means it's one of the kinder planets, the nicer planets. Not necessarily always shows itself in that respect, because as we know, the planets express themselves in all different ways as the highest. Even difficult planets, such as traditionally difficult planets such as Saturn, for example, will also have its good side and its shadow side. Same really with Venus and with every other planet. But really, Venus in Pisces, relationships. Venus is relationships, kind of relationships that we yearn for if we have Venus in Pisces in our chart, and perhaps we have some of these kind of feelings when Venus is transiting Pisces, is an idealistic, it's a romantic connection, it's a deep connection, it's a merging of souls. Venus in Pisces is sensitive, it can be kind, it can be compassionate, can be selfless, even sacrificing. So we need to think about, when we think about selflessness, we also need to balance that with healthy selfishness. We've got to look after ourselves. Pisces can sometimes be the rescuer, can sacrifice its own happiness to help and support somebody else. So it's that balance between that selfless kindness, but also that very much look after yourself, be kind to yourself as you are kind to others. Not just about relationships, of course, not just about the so-called romantic relationships, Venus. It's about any kind of relationships, really. It's about how we connect with other people. It's about our social life. It can also be about the contracts we go into with other people, whether that's legal contracts. I mean, one legal contract is obviously tied up with relationships. The marriage contract, for example, the civil union, the legal civil union contract. It's also Venus about our self-esteem, our beliefs, our values, and our assets and our income as well. That's where there's an association with Venus and money. Value, we have our core values. We might value kindness and compassion. We might value go-getting. We might value autonomy. All these different values that we all hold, and we can see a lot of those values in our birth charts, of course. And but the value of the material possessions that we have and the assets that we have and the income that we bring in through earnings. But Venus in Pisces is perhaps a little less concerned with that material stuff, because it's a watery sign. It's a very emotional watery sign. It's idealistic. It can be unfocused. It can want to go for escapism. It can be trusting. It can be too trusting of other people in relationship, taking people at their word. Again, we need perhaps sometimes to learn to set some boundaries with Pisces in general, Venus in Pisces in particular. I'm recording this on the 20th of January. We've just had, on the 19th of January, Venus has been conjunct with Saturn. Venus conjunct Saturn. So if you're watching this on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, it's kind of coming out, but it's still a relevant aspect. So what have you felt over the last couple of days or so? Because Venus conjunct Saturn can make us focus on what we lack, where we lack love, where we lack empathy, where we lack self-love and self-empathy. It can perhaps have poured cold water over our idealism of what we thought was the perfection of our relationship, the perfection of our dreams, our imagination. So if you are feeling a little bit low mood, I'm recording this on the 20th, it's a Monday, and it's known as the most depressing month of the year, apparently, this depressing day of the year, apparently. Now, I don't really buy that, because I would definitely believe that we can do a lot to improve our moods. I do a lot of work in that area, actually, on how to improve my mood. Maybe I'll do a video of it about that very soon. Share some of the routines that I go through that really help to build my mood, to make me feel better. Venus in Pisces wants to feel good. It wants to feel, particularly when Saturn is there, it wants to feel safe. It needs to feel secure. It's a steadying energy. Venus and Saturn is a steadying energy, but it can also make you feel a little bit unloved or question your own self-love. It's about commitment. Venus in Pisces perhaps wants to spread its love. Perhaps it can spread its love a little bit too thinly. Whereas Saturn, even though Saturn is itself in Pisces, it helps us to really focus on where we need to commit, where we can give our love in healthy, valuable ways to boost our self-esteem and to boost the self-esteem of other people around us. So it's about perhaps a lesson, maybe over the last few days, we've had a lesson in sort of self-respect or even setting boundaries. So that's kind of going out now. I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to put a chart up very soon. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. So these are the energies that are just kind of passing through now that you might still be feeling as you're watching this video. What else is happening to Venus in Pisces? Well, interestingly, it's on the 25th of January, it's making a trine to Mars in Cancer. Venus and Mars. You know, that's that it's almost like that romantic relationship meets that sexual relationship. When Venus and Mars, it's the couple, it's the pairing. It doesn't have to be a gendered coupling, any kind of gendered coupling, but it's that kind of coupling thing, isn't it? It's in the water signs. It's emotional. Mars in Cancer. It's Mars in Cancer. It's Mars retrograde in Cancer. So you might be going over, you might be having old feelings from the past. Cancer tends to bring up memories from the past. You might be feeling a little bit emotional, a little bit needing a little bit of emotional support or emotional self-support. Might be making you feel a little bit sensitive, a little bit oversensitive, and a little bit defensive as well. That's also tied in with, remember, it's a trine there. So remember, with trines, it's easier to move through with a trine. So if we're feeling those emotions coming up over the next few days, I say this is the 25th, 26th of January, it's about you can more easily move through those emotions that come up that might be a little bit more challenging. We might feel that sort of Cancer crab retreat into your shell and withdraw a little bit. What also comes along with that Venus in Pisces trine Mars in Cancer is there's a sextile, another easier. Hello, talking of little cuteness and lovingness. This beautiful boy here has just woken up. He probably wants feeding in a minute. Wait just a little tiny while and have a cuddle in the meantime. By the way, cuddling your pet or cuddling anyone or even cuddling yourself is one of the things which is an instant mood booster. But to go back to what I'm saying, we've got Venus and Mars. There's a potential there. There's a potential there for really nice connections as well. Really nice connection between people, between people you're in a romantic relationship with or people you have to deal with socially or in your job and career. But at the same time, really, so that's on the 25th. And then on the 26th, we have, as I was just about to say, just started to say, we've got Venus sextile Uranus, Uranus in Taurus. So you've got water and earth here. The other ones, it's all been watery, hasn't it? This is an earth water sextile, which means it's an opportunity. All sextiles give us an opportunity to, I would say, ground, but we don't really associate potentially Uranus with grounded. The actual opposite. It can kind of make us feel a little bit wired, wired and tired. It can be exciting. There might be surprises in store for some of you. Doesn't necessarily, because it's a sextile, be a surprise that's going to sort of frighten you or shock you. It might be a nice surprise, for example. There's also that feeling of Uranus brings that feeling of wanting to escape, escapism, freedom, wanting a little bit of freedom. And we tie that in with the Venus trine Mars and that sort of need to sort of withdraw a little bit. Maybe you want to withdraw with your partner and sort of, just the two of you spend some time together, and it might be exciting. Or you might just want a little bit of time to yourself. These are the easier types of aspects that are kind of, again, free flowing. Pisces tends to be free flowing. So think about where your emotions might be free flowing, where you might need to take a little bit of time to process your emotions. Now I'm going to share the screen again for the next one because this is really interesting. I'm being headbutted here by the cat. There he is. There he is. Hello. Let me just share the screen to show you the next really interesting. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So on the 1st of February, we have Venus conjunct Neptune, and we have Venus conjunct the North Node in Pisces, and we also have Venus conjunct the Moon. Oh, goodbye. Goodbye, Misty. We also have Venus, North Node, and Neptune conjunct the Moon in Pisces. So this is a really, really interesting time. This is a really interesting time, and really interesting connections can be made here. Now, in your own chart, have a look at any planets or angles that fall in the sign of Pisces or in its opposite sign of Virgo, because these will be touching your chart, particularly with this one, anything at the end of Pisces or the end of Virgo. You can also look at what house Pisces falls into in your chart, and that will describe the area of life where you will be most affected by some of these energies. So this plays into, with Neptune there, it plays into that escapism I've already talked about. It's a yearning. Pisces energy and Neptune energy is about yearning. It's about a soul yearning, with the North Node in Pisces there, which has a connection to sort of your soul path, what you're here to do in this world as you come in. And because this is a transit, North Node in Pisces is in a fairly new transit to Pisces. Has something to do with our collective vision for the future, our collective path, our collective journey, which is a journey into compassion. It's into trying to not get too into the escapism or the fantasy. It's not it's not one of this very truth seeking. It wants to see the nice things. It wants to have that rose tinted glasses. So these are some things to think about. But how can we use this quadruple conjunction here, all in Pisces? Saturn's in Pisces as well, of course, but it's 10 degrees off the moon. So it's kind of out of the picture a little bit. We can't dismiss, because that Pisces energy in Saturn is always going. I've already talked a little bit about Pisces. Saturn in Pisces, that kind of feeling of, they might feel like there's a little bit of lack, there's a little bit of a lack of love or self-love or a lack of kindness or lack of compassion, or even a little bit of loneliness there. But to go back to these 4 planets that are very, 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 very closely conjunct, they're almost exactly conjunct here. The moon here is obviously very passing. It's very quick. It moves very quickly. It only spends 2.5 days in each sign. So it's almost at the end of Pisces here on the 1st of February. But it just adds extra emotion. It's a time really to connect, spiritually, if you have a spiritual practice, if you connect spiritually, however you do that, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through prayer, if you follow a particular religion, or whether it's just experiencing that feeling of oneness, feeling as if you are at one part of a whole, which is that whole being the universe or whatever, or the divine, or the creation, or whatever kind of spiritual language you choose, or whichever spiritual language that helps you with your spirituality and with that connection. Because we have mind, we have our body, we also have our spirit as well. Sometimes we neglect to think about that there's a spiritual aspect to life, and it really does enrich. And this is how we can use this Venus, North Node, Neptune, and very, very, very importantly as well, the moon all in Pisces at the same time. We might feel very sensitive to our own energy, but also the energy out there. There's a lot going on in the news at the moment. We have Pisces wants peace and harmony. Venus in Pisces wants harmony, wants peace. So this is quite a peaceable quadruple conjunction here. As I speak, there has been a ceasefire. There's been some peace, and some prisoners have been released, and some hostages are going to be released in the Israel-Gaza conflict. So there is that peace there, that potential for peace. So we can all, with this Piscean energy that likes to connect with everything and everyone and merge with the oneness, just by having peaceable thoughts and peaceable actions. Talking of peaceable stuff, my cat is really making a noise over in the corner. So I apologize if you can hear that, but he will get his lovely food and his whatever he wants in a minute when I finish, bless him. So you can add your peace to the world. It does make a difference energetically. It does make a difference. If you are feeling extra sensitive and really feeling like you're feeling the weight of the world, you're feeling the stresses of the world on your shoulders, grounding yourself is important. Pisces is associated with the feet. Put your focus on the soles of your feet and ground down into the earth. Imagine branches and wood, just trees, roots just going right down into the center of the earth, and try and ground yourself a little bit. Also, I would recommend doing some emotional clearing. This is as simple as saying to yourself, your higher mind, your spirit team, if you work with them, basically saying, if it's not mine, take it away. These feelings, if they're not mine, please take them away. I acknowledge them. I acknowledge these feelings that might be bringing me down a little bit, if that's how you're feeling. If they are not mine, please take them away, and express gratitude for that. You might have to ask a few times, but you will feel you can and will feel a shift, potentially a profound shift in your energy when you're clearing away things. And all you have to do really is ask. And then you have to then perhaps replace those emotions, those feelings, again, with these feelings of this loving kindness, with thoughts and prayers on peace. Neptune here, as the bigger, slower planet, has quite a bit of dominance here in this conjunction. It refines. So going back to what I'm saying about clearing your energies, I mean, if those of you that do aura clearing work or chakra clearing work, this is a good time for that as well as clearing your environment as well. For doing healing, any of you that you can, anyone who's not even attuned, or is not even a trained healer, can still send out, with the best intention in your heart, to send out healing energy to the world, and to sort of maintain this peace we hope can come in now more and more in the Ukraine situation as well, which is another war which has been going on for a long time. So here are a few real things that we can kind of do with these energies, to really work with these energies. And that's, I think, what astrology is all about. More and more for me, it's about learning how to use these energies. As I was saying, Neptune refines your feelings, refines those energies, all those Piscean energies. Don't forget Venus here, it's about also, what are your self-beliefs? What are your values? What is your self-esteem like? Again, we can work on those and clear, again, start the process or continue the process if you've already been doing it, is sort of asking for self-limiting beliefs to be released. There is with Pisces, Pisces is not a self-limiting sign. It wants to move, it wants to flow. Put yourself in flow as much as you can. Do things that you really love to do, that put you in flow. You know, that feeling when you're doing something and the world has stopped, it feels timeless. We also have, looking a little bit forward, we also have Venus is eventually going to go. It's not until I think it might be February, end February, early March. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we will talk about this. I will talk about this in future videos. But just to say that Venus will be going retrograde, it will be going into Aries. It's going into Aries actually on the 4th of February. And eventually, I think towards the end of February, I say early March, it's going to be going retrograde. It will go back into Pisces and it will make another conjunction with the North Node in Pisces. So that's another opportunity to go through and experience those energies again. When retrogrades happen and you get repeated aspects, repeated connections between planets, they represent really nice processes of, really processing what happened at the first aspect and then integrating that and sort of going over it again and really sort of, fine tuning. And as I said, Neptune, refining that energy, refining those lessons, refining what you've learned through working with that aspect. And that's going to be in April that Venus is conjunct the North Node again. So we've got the rest of the winter and then into spring, or the opposite seasons if you're in the southern hemisphere. One more thing to say, particularly about Venus in Pisces conjunct the North Node in Pisces, there might be interesting meetings, even meetings that feel fated in some way. It's about in the collective, it's about how do we connect? How do we meet the world? How does the world meet us? Again, putting out those nice, peaceful, harmonious energies. And we can remember the value, the treasure that is compassion and empathy. We can also, as I said, we're clearing energies as well. We can clear some stuck energies during this time because things are in flow when there's a lot of Pisces. We can clear the stuck energies. One thing about Pisces is we can get into that victim energy, that victim mode. So that another thing to clear those victim stories. Obviously, to get help if you are feeling victimized for whatever reason, that we need to access help. And again, that's another value of Pisces, Venus in Pisces. The value of that is that we are invited more easily to go and get the help that we seek, as well as to help others where we can. But again, protecting our own energy by clearing the energies out, by clearing your chakras, by clearing your auras or whatever, or even just asking that question, please clear me out, please clear the energies that aren't mine so I can have a more refined expression of my own energy and I know exactly what I'm thinking, exactly what I'm going to leave it at that now, and I'm going to see to my cat. He has a very kind of mystical Neptunian name, Misty. It was a name that was given to him before I got him from the shelter. But I'm sending you lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of love as always. And thank you again to everyone who's watching and those who have subscribed. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And next video will be about the new moon in Aquarius on the 29th of January. Lots of love to everyone. Thank you so much. Goodbye.